All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. This is, we're back here at Wise Guys BBQ Podcast, where we talk about some of the most heinous crimes and murders in the country and meat.
That's not true.
Oh, we're not doing that?
No, we're not doing that.
All right, we'll just stick to barbecue this week, then.
All right. Phew, thank Christ.
Good to see you again, buddy. How was your Memorial weekend?
Yeah, no, it was quick. Quick but long. Does that make sense? It was a very quick weekend because we did a lot of cooking and entertaining for my son Luke's birthday party.
Happy birthday, Luke. Happy birthday, Sonny.
Happy birthday, Sonny, because we're kicking Sonny's birthday off tomorrow.
All right.
So the birthday extravaganza continues.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so we did some. So my wife made a pot of copiac. Got it good. Soup, which is a rice noodle, Laotian traditional beef. There's some shaved beef and meatballs in there. Stew. And she also made over 150 egg rolls, which she was delightfully frying on the back patio. And then, of course, my son, who says, I want pho, which pho, P-H-O, is a Vietnamese stew that he's accustomed to eating. So, of course, my wife, 6 o'clock in the morning on the Sunday, goes out to the meat market. I don't know where she found one open, and she started cooking pho.
Oh, it's only Memorial Day in America.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
So that was it. And then on the barbecue side, I did some racks of ribs, which came out great. Maybe I overcooked them a little bit long on the Reynolds. A little too much, fall off the bone. But, you know, what I love about my audience, which I do know my audience, and they are novice barbecue eaters, so they weren't looking for that perfect smack bite off the rib. They were fine with it falling off the bone. And then I also smoked a pork Boston butt. And we pulled that puppy, and that was nice because my wife made a coleslaw with onions, red and white cabbage. And with that, we added a little bit of dill, meaning not dill seed or anything. We actually took a dill pickle, cut up the pickles, and added some of the juice from the pickles into the cabbage dressing.
Yep.
So it was great. So that on a little slider bun. Nice. Boy, those things go down like hotcakes.
I'll bet.
Yeah, so it was a fun cook. You know, the Yoda took it all down in time.
Like a champ.
Started Olivia, I want to say about midnight. Put her nice and low. Ran that butt through the night. Finished it off in the morning. Pulled it out. Put it in a 180 warmer and let her sit. And then put on the ribs around 10 o'clock. They were ready to run around 1 o'clock. And there you go. And then... it was an all-day event. So with the pho, the egg rolls, the salads that they have, and then, of course, all that meat. We made it through to like a dinner time, which was like 7 p.m., and then we put on some burgers and sausage.
Just to give it a little kiss at the end?
That's it, a little fourth meal.
Well, we're still meat drunk from earlier? Love it.
Well, you know the goal. The goal is to continue to have my son eat as much as he can for 8 weeks, and it's working. He's putting on some weight, so I like it.
Guys out there, I want to think heavy, okay? Because we got to put weight on this boy for quarterback next year. He's going to make it. He'll be all right.
If I got to put some ruled quarters in his goddamn jock strap, he's going to make that weight. It's going to take something, boy. So, yeah. But no, that was good. How about you? Did you do anything out of the box on?
No, I worked. I worked all weekend. It's one of our busiest, if not the busiest weekend.
Because of the graduation season,
correct.
Right?
It's Brown graduation, so it's all hands on deck. Yeah. So I was just getting my barbecue from DoorDash.
Oh,
and but it's okay. Had a great pulled pork sandwich from Great Northern Barbecue.
Nice.
And ended up having some ribs. If you don't laugh, Chili's has a pretty good barbecue plate.
Cut it out.
Yeah,
shut up.
I
might laugh.
Totally shocked, and I did too. But they were open. I just happened to, we were looking for food one afternoon, I think it was Saturday, and looked at the menu. I saw this big barbecue plate, and I said, well, all right, send it over. And listen, it was okay. I'm not going to go out of my way to go there, but
but
it hit the spot.
Right.
And it was fine.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Totally unexpected. It was kind of a nice little surprise.
Yeah. And then how about the surprise we had today? Because the butcher was at it again.
Oh, this guy's killing it lately. Killing it.
He has his best cooks when he just about everything he cooks is like a first timer for him because he likes to take it to a different level. You know, companion what he's maybe barbecuing with a side dish that he never did before. And he really stretches and he kills it. You know, today he did a country. He calls them countries. And I'm like, why do you call it country? It's like, what countries do they come from? I thought he was doing like a cross section of countries. He goes, no, that's what we call them in barbecue. We call them countries because I guess when you take
these are the ribs, country ribs.
Yeah. So here's what it is, and here's what the video shows. He took a pork loin, bone in.
Yep.
And he bone sawed the chain of ribs, and then he cut them into a pork chop. And when you do that, you end up with a piece of flat meat on the pork chop that the butchers trim off. That piece, they don't like throwing that away. So now it's basically just, think of it like a pork tender. It's a strip of pork off that pork chop. And they call it country spare ribs. There's no rib in it at all. It never touched the rib, but they call it a spare rib. And if you
so it's a boneless spare rib.
Yes, exactly.
Along those lines.
Yep. And if you cook it like a barbecue rib,
yep,
it tastes the same way. Well, what Tommy did is he actually did that whole butchering process, cut it up, took the pork chop, cut it in half. So you actually did have a bone-on country spare rib, and then you had a bone-off country spare rib. And then and he had a delightful rub that he smokes that in first. Then he made a braising sauce, and that braising sauce went an hour and a half on the smoker with the rub. He did another hour in the braising sauce, so they're nice and tender. They got about 200 degrees, and then he takes them off, and he made this glaze. He made this bourbon syrup, Vermont syrup, and honey glaze with, and he needed something to cut all the sugar in there, so he took this tamarind paste.
Yep.
And he mixed that all together, and he glazed it and tacked it up with that. So they were fantastic. And then his accompaniment with that was grits. He wanted to do a cheesy grit. Yeah. So he got an authentic, full grit, not one of those.
No instant grits around here, boy.
Yeah, no grits in a minute combination. So he went at it, and then he added some cheese on it. So it was nice because it made a nice, it wasn't a runny, drippy consistency. Yep. It was a nice mound of grits, and spare ribs on it came out fantastic.
Awesome.
So it was a good cook. So that's what we had for dinner tonight. Sorry, folks. Wish you could have that with us.
Guys, I was lucky enough to have some waiting for me when I got here.
Good job, Tommy.
My perk for this job.
Yeah.
The grits, A+.
Yeah.
The pork looked like a mini tomahawk.
Yeah,
but it was fantastic. Excellent job by the butcher once again.
Yeah. So
if you like grits, those grits were, as good as I've had around here anyway.
So a couple things for our audience right now. So first of all, please like, share, and subscribe. We've been, you guys spoiled us last week. We had a great run on Tommy's mac and cheese, not mac and cheese,
grilled cheese hot dog.
Grilled cheese hot dog, which just went, for us it went viral, right? It didn't go into the hundreds of thousands, but we hit 5 digits and it was cool. And with that, we got a bunch of subscriptions, so we appreciate that. That thing will drag down like 19 subscriptions by itself, awesome. So that was cool. But we also want to know, we want to stay in the theme of Backyard Barbecue Hero, right? So we want to keep grilling and smoking in the backyard for these weekends leading up to the 4th of July. And we're thinking clam bake in New England, right? Can you incorporate, here's the question, and we'd love to have your answers. Can you incorporate a New England clam bake into a barbecue cookout? Is that sacrilegious, or is that in line?
Not at all. Not at all. It can be done. Absolutely.
So why do you say that? Because I know, the clam bakes, I remember in the old days, they used to dig the hole, and they used to put the pan down there with the corn and the clams and some lobsters and some crabs and stuff.
It's more of a steaming process.
And you used to put some sharish in there.
Yes, that's what I was going to go. The sausage.
Yeah.
You can get in there with some smoked sausage. And,
so we were thinking about a couple of ways to smoke it up, right? We're going to do the clams. We're actually going to smoke them on the smoker. So we're going to let them open and gain the smoke and then pull out the meat and utilize it. And, we're thinking about doing a quahog, stuffed quahog.
Yep.
Do you know where that came from?
The ocean.
Oh, boy.
Technically.
No, not the actual product.
Not the actual animal.
The name quahog.
It's from Rhode Island. Isn't it? No, it's an Indian tribe.
It's an Indian name.
Yeah,
Good job. The Indians coined that phrase, quahog. And that's, I think, all of New England, or maybe Rhode Island is the only ones that still have quahogs, right? And, I do know we are probably the only state that still has stuffies.
Yeah, Stuffies is pretty local.
And now that brings on the challenge. Like, how do you get that or even a clam cake? There's no other clam cake out of Rhode Island. They're called clam fritters in Connecticut.
Yep. Around here we would kind of do like a hush puppy style down south, but around here, like instead of the clams, we put the clams. If you want, mix a little ground sausage in there with the clam.
And as you go north, they turn into Johnny cakes.
Johnny cakes are a different animal.
They're not. They have nothing to do with
Johnny
clams?
cakes. Okay, here's my Johnny cake story. My old man, God rest his soul, love you, Pop. He had this fascination for Johnny cakes, and I don't know why. I don't know why, but they're like a very old recipe in New England, and they're literally like these. They look like pancakes, kind of, but they're smaller and they're very dense and very cornmeal.
They're made with cornmeal,
yeah,
right? Yes.
Yeah, and you fry them up on the griddle, and you serve them usually with butter and syrup, but some people eat them with salt. But it's a very ancient New England like staple,
right?
You know that people had, back in the colonial days, they had tons of grain and stuff like that, so they make these things.
Okay.
He was terrible at making them. They were. I mean, they were.
What was the challenge in making them?
I don't know. He didn't have the right recipe. He didn't cook them right. But
yeah.
Oh, we used to call them. My brother used to call them sinkers. like the clam.
Yeah. Had 4 or 5 of those and go in the lake.
You weren't. Don't make any plans after those. You were taking a nap. But yeah. You fry them up. You can still get them at some of the diners around here will still serve them.
Yeah. I remember them being north of Rhode Island. I've seen and heard of them more, and I know. There's a Situate Art Festival of the year, and there's a big Johnny Cakes truck that kills it. But that brought up the challenge with Tommy and I when we were conversing today, because we want to stay in this barbecue backyard theme. We're going to do a hot dog brisket. You guys are going to love to see that. That's going to be fun. And after we make that hot dog brisket, we're going to do some traditional, more identifiable cooks from the hot dog brisket. But no more about that. We're going to leave that as a surprise until you see it. But we're going to do that. We wanted to do maybe a clam cake, clam chowder and clam cake. So we're going to do a smoked corn, smoked clams, and then mix that into a clam chowder, and then smoke those clams again and put those into our clam cakes. And we're going to think about doing that. And that brought up the clam bake, and that brought up the fritters and the clam cake. So it's like you got to kind of bring the audience along, right? So if you say a stuffy. And even if you show the picture of a stuffy and you try to explain it, people they're just not going to get it. But if you say like oysters Rockefeller,
correct.
Ding, 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 ding.
Very
kind
simple.
of lights up a little bit there and people get a hold of it. And so that's what we're trying to do. So what we need your help with is clam bake suitable for a barbecue channel? Question 1. Question 2 would be, what other backyard barbecue hero delights would you like? We did the ribs, we did the spare ribs, we did the cheese, what would we call it again? The hot dog with cheese hot dog, the cheese sandwich hot dog. We
grilled cheese hot dog.
There you go. I can't get those 2 words.
I just can't say Worcestershire.
Grilled cheese hot dog. That was cool. We did the Rhode Island smash burger, and we Wise Guys that up for you. So let us know. Give us some comments and let us know what we should do there, because we're definitely. It's going to be from your word, your texts right to the camera, and they're going to be coming out all before 4th of July. So let us know what you'd like to see.
Yeah. So I stumbled upon a new barbecue joint that's not very far away. It's in Walpole.
Okay.
Which is from Providence. What, like 25 minutes, 30 minutes north.
Yep. And is it a restaurant or a truck? Or?
Yes, it's a barbecue place. It used to be. It's the old. Some of our listeners might remember this place called Red Wing up in Walpole. It used to be like a clam joint, fried clams and fish and chips and stuff like that. They took over this place, and the new place is called Blondie's Barbecue. Okay, and they just. I think their grand opening was this past weekend or the weekend before, one or the other. But they've only been open a couple of weeks.
Okay.
But a couple of guys I work with have gone there and said it's top notch. So we will check it out. Blondie's Barbecue. And I took a look at the menu. It does look.
Now, do you know if there is
righteous.
an actual Blondie?
I don't know. I haven't got that far into it, but we're going to find out.
I'd be interested. Is there a Blondie, and is it a male or a female?
And because they just opened, I'm sure they'd love to talk to somebody. So maybe I can get a hold of them and maybe we'd have them on sometime.
Yeah, we'll get them on the show.
I have a free day coming up pretty soon, so I might just run up there and check it out.
Right.
So that's my restaurant opening news.
Fantastic.
Yeah, should be interesting.
Which brings me up on another thing that I'd like to discuss with our audience, just because they spawned it. It has nothing to do with us, but it has begun to become knowledge that you, the butcher, we enjoy some bourbon. And people are wondering, is there a bourbon that pairs well with barbecue? No.
Well, I don't know. No. To me, bourbon is one of those things. Hey, you drink what you like.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if I'm cooking out, I definitely have a highball glass with some bourbon on the rocks sitting there, and I'm sipping that, all afternoon with a few of these mixed in.
Yep.
But
there's really nothing that pairs well with it.
I just think.
I mean, as a drink, but I mean, you made that thing, which was. You remember it, the red wine in Maker's Mark? What was that?
Oh yeah, that was the bull's blood or something.
Bull's blood. That thing was. Oh my God! Yeah. I don't think every cat in the neighborhood stopped moving once you started opening those up. Yeah. But
the other one was better, but I can't remember what the other one was. The spritzer or something like that with liquor. I don't know. Anyway.
That was your buddies there. The original.
That was my cousin's cousin's concoction from Pennsylvania. Hacker.
The hacker. That's right. No, but I mean, so actually in our cook today, and you'll see it on video next week, we did a bourbon sauce, the actual glaze with the syrup and the honey and the tamarind had some bourbon in it. We used a Woodford bourbon, which was really good, really tasty. It was interesting because it at the end of the glaze, you kind of glaze up the pan one more time, so we left the flavor on there a little bit. It's great for me. I wouldn't let my nephew eat one, but that was okay. But I guess the question is, cook with it, absolutely. Drink it, maybe not so much, but for sure. I mean, if anybody who knows barbecue, they know the down hours that go involved with the cooks, right? You're doing a cook 1 or 2 or 3 meats. You could be sitting around the fire 12, 15 hours overnight in some circumstances, and there's nothing better to open up a bottle of bourbon you love and just share that out with some friends while you're sitting around waiting for that cook to happen.
Sure. You just got to, maintain your...
So, yeah.
You can't finish the whole bottle yourself.
No. You have to have a designated cooker that day or something going on. But, so I don't know. I don't know if we should maybe entertain some of our shows with a bottle of bourbon or not. Let us know what you think, folks. If you want to know more about bourbon, or if you think you want to know what bourbons might work well with a rub or a glaze, or if you know just a good bourbon you want to drink, again, put it in the comments, and we'll open up a couple bottles on the show.
Oh, we will. And Tommy's a bit of a savant with that stuff. Yes. I mean, he knows his bourbons. I was, we went on barbecue safari too, and we stopped at that bar that had. Remember they had that
Bourbons.
Yeah, Bourbons was the name of the bar, right? Yeah, I forgot about that.
I forget what town we were in, but it was awesome.
Anyway, it was a town. But yeah, they literally had a book like this big of all different kinds of bourbons, and Tommy's just opening it and just, oh yeah, that one's good. Oh yeah, like he knew them
all.
Yeah, it was.
And he
crazy.
actually remember the girl brought over like the wrong brand.
And he was like, "Excuse me,
no, this is not." And that's if you're a good bourbon drinker, folks. or you have a good bourbon collection, it's all about the hunt, right? It's finding these popular bottles at a good price. I mean, you're never going to get a discounted price. If it's a discounted price, watch out. But you're going to get them at a good price compared to a bad price. And that's what Tommy does, especially in restaurants, because restaurants you will have, something might have been on the shelf a little too long. They might be bringing it down a couple notches. So he was like, "Oh, Stag Leap, they only want $12 for that? That's crazy."
Yeah, I'm all over that.
Yeah, that's a $22 glass right there. And he was, but then they brought him out the friggin' like tequila, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's the problem. I don't."
In
want
her
the
defense,
tequila.
it was her first night working in the bourbon bar, so I mean, mistake tequila and bourbon.
But no, it's great that he does it. That was my brother Felix's favorite thing to do. Whenever he went to my brother Felix has a nice wine collection, and he's not. He likes to drink good wine. Who wants to drink bad wine? There's not enough time in life to drink bad wine. But the point is, he would always like to find the best bottle of wine at the cheapest price you can get it at, or a valued price you could get it at, to enjoy it with your friends and family. Mm-hmm. That was, he's like, you want to go in, you want to buy the $300 bottle. It's going to taste good. But why? Find the $80 bottle that tastes like that $300 bottle.
Right. It's kind of a treasure hunt, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I didn't look at it that way, but yeah.
And of course, you got to, to be able to do that, you got to know your wines, right?
Sure.
The regions, the grapes, all the shit I don't know. But I'm learning, folks. We're learning.
See.
We're back here again. And actually, one of our famous listeners commented. He's like, "All right, I need to know where this wine cellar is. I want to know what idiot let you two boobs into their wine cellar." And then the other, which was, I'm not going to tell him. He's going to have to figure it out on his own.
That's right.
And then the other cute thing was, you remember I said, wonderful, should I be Mr. Wonderful, Kid Wonderful?
Mr. Fabulous. Mr.
Well, that was yours.
Fabulous.
But I was going with Wonderful. So
yeah, you were.
He voted for Shrek Wonderful because he loves calling me Shrek. Okay. I should actually have your shirt on today to be a real Shrek.
Okay.
But I guess
that's a little bit of a dig, I think.
I think in his eyes I look like Shrek, and it's okay because if you saw what he looked like, there's no reason to argue. So
this isn't Fogarty, is it?
No, no, but it could be his kid cousin, his cousin twin. But yeah. So we might as well say his name's Mark. So Mark, thanks for the comments. Keep them coming, buddy. We love you, and no, you're not going to find out where this wine cellar is, because I know you'll be.
Nope.
He likes it. This is his big thing. He goes down the Capitol Grill as if they would ever do it. I have one of those wine lockers,
yep.
The Capitol Grill, and he always tries to convince the woman. Like, he tells her, "You have his number. Call him up. He'll let me have one." He tries to try to steal a bottle of
tries
wine.
in your wine locker.
Yes. And by the way, you can. One of the caveats of those wine lockers, you can gift them. You can say, "Hey, a buddy of mine's coming in. You leave the name of the desk. When you sit down at Chip Ball, oh, you know what, Mr. Picaro has something for you." And they take out a bottle of wine from my locker and they put it on the table. But I won't leave his name. I will not leave his name because he makes it a challenge.
That's
if
awesome.
He just only asked, I would be happy to leave him one. But screw you, Mark.
One of these days, he's like, "I'm going to get it."
Yeah, he thinks.
I'm going to make it.
He thinks so.
That's awesome.
But
good story.
Good shit.
Yep.
So, folks, be prepared. We're going to have another Kids Q episode coming up. I'm looking at my notes here for Laura Whiteside. Been talking with her dad, Matt. Laura is with Baller Barbecue, who has competed in Kid Q competitions that Kathy Trainer, an inclusive barbecue group, has sponsored in the past. And she's fantastic. This kid is all about three things. She loves barbecue, she loves basketball, and she loves helping kids with, ADHD or Down syndrome. So she's an amazing kid, and she's super psyched to kind of use her passion for barbecue and basketball and kind of leverage that against the work that she does and move forward with it. So we were talking with her dad, Matt, and she is set and ready to come on the show. We're going to have her here next week. We're going to have a live interview with her.
Great.
Love to hear about. Yeah, I'm learning. I want to learn more about the nuts and bolts that go into these competitions, right? Because I've been at one and I see how nice they are, and I see some of the older kids that get out and get real edgy competitive with it. It
Sure.
means something because they want to get to the next level. But I just, from just like a middle of the road kind of a competitor who just likes to figure it out. Like help me figure it out. Like, how much time does this take for you? How many competitions do you do a year? How much time spent with your family cooking? I want to hear all that good stuff. So you'll be hearing it as I hear it next week for sure with those folks. That'll be great. All right, folks. Well, thanks again for a great week. Please answer those questions if you get an opportunity. We'd love to hear from you and what you think we should be doing next, because we're here for you. And we'll see you at some competitions coming up. I know there's a lot going on these next weeks. I hope I see some of my friends on the 21st of June. I'm looking forward to that tremendously.
It's gonna be a huge summer. Summer with a lot of stuff happening, and it's gonna come really. It'll be here before you know it. Let me put it that way. All right.
Absolutely, it always does. It's only 12 weeks of summer. Yeah. How many days is that?
Fast. I don't know. You were the math guy. I'm the math guy.
All right, folks. Have a good week. Peace.
All right. Take care.